Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining today. I want to seek the blessings of Shri Radha Madhav, Radha Shyam Sundar, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Gauritai, Advaita Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So a wonderful day today. It's the birthday of Advaita Acharya, who is one of the Panchatattva. So we'll talk about him. We'll explain a little bit about who he is. And this is a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, chapter 6, text number 1.
Vandetam Srimad Advaita Acharya Adbhuta Cheshtitam Yashya Prashadat Nopi Tat Swarupam Nirupayed. Offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Advaita Acharya, whose activities are all wonderful. By his mercy, even a foolish person can describe his characteristics.
So Advaita Acharya is a very important personality. He was born in 1433 in Shantipur. That's 53 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was much more earlier than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is an idea of Shantipur still being this worship going. We haven't been there personally, but his birthplace has been preserved. And Shantipur.
We have been.
Oh yeah, Shantipur we have.
Yeah.
That's right. I was thinking about another Acharya.
Mm.
So Shantipur we've been. We just went there recently, and still very interesting place where his residence has been preserved actually.
And the Shaligram.
And the Shaligram. We'll come across that in a minute. He's the combined incarnation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. So, and this is a really interesting painting, which shows half as Vishnu. You can see here the two hands out of the four holding the conch and the flower. And the other half is Lord Shiva. You see the half moon, the snake, and you've got his trident and his blessing. And he's got his deer skin that he's wearing.
Like the Harihar.
Like the Harihar. That's
incarnation.
Right. And this is the Harihar incarnation. He's one of the figures of the Panchatattva. So who is this Panchatattva?
Okay, sorry.
Yes, yes, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and all the devotees. Sorry, I had to get up, come back, get up, come back. The picture you saw just now, is that the same Advaita Acharya?
This is actually Vishnu and Shiva combined.
Together.
It's known as Harihar.
It's a murti.
Oh, it's a murti, and he's known as a Harihar.
Harihar. So Hari is Vishnu and Har is Shiva.
Shiva, okay.
This is actually a murti, like these are worshipped in Bharat. We don't see any outside Bharat, but in Bharat there is. And especially the temple in Mayapur, where this form of the Lord is worshipped. Very amazing.
Okay, that's unusual. I've never seen
very
that.
Unusual, yeah. And it said that Advaita Acharya is an incarnation of the combination of these two, Mahavishnu and Shiva.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking. So the Panchatattva is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we have Nityananda on his right hand, and then Advaita Acharya. So he is on the far right hand side. Then we have Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas Thakur. So who are these in Krishna Leela? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Nityananda is Balaram. Advaita Acharya is widely known as Mahavishnu. The portion of Mahavishnu is greater than Sadashiva. And then Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani, and Srivas Thakur is Narad Muni. And of them, three of them are considered to be Vishnu Tattva. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, and Advaita. So these are Vishnu Tattva. So the father of Advaita Acharya is Kuver Pandit, and the mother is Labha Devi. He had two wives, as Naniben was mentioning just now, Sita Devi and Shri Devi, and they had 6 sons: Achyutanandan, Shri Krishna Mishra, Gopal Mishra, Balaram, Swarup, and Jagadish. So, Naniben, you were mentioning, I think Achyutananda, Shri Krishna Mishra, and Gopal Mishra were the children of Sita Devi. Is that right? And they followed Advaita Acharya, whereas the other 3 were the children of Shri Devi. They didn't follow Advaita Acharya. Is Naniben there? Yeah. Yes, Naniben. Is that correct?
I think Sita Devi, yes, this 6 children. I think Sri Devi, somebody had one wife, had only one son.
I see. Okay. But that one son didn't follow because he was like an expansion of Sadashiv, basically. So what you were saying?
Now, what I'm saying is, out of the 6 sons, 3 of them followed him in the mood of a seva, and 3 of them did not do anything because. And the explanation is that these who did not follow him, they were because of the Sada Shiv component of the Prabhu of Advaita Acharya.
Right. Because Shiva's mission as Sankaracharya was to explain that God is formless. The worship is of, or the destination is the Brahma Jyoti, and merging with the Supreme Lord. Yeah. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. In the Gaura Ganodesha Dipika, it is written that the divine Yogamaya, Parvati, took the form of Advaita's wife, Sita, and Lakshmi as Shri. So Sita Devi, and often she's mentioned as his prominent wife, is actually incarnation of Parvati, and Shri Devi is incarnation of Lakshmi. Advaita Acharya's lineage is amazing because he is a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri, we've talked about many a time before, how he initiated this Radha Krishna Prem. He was the first Acharya to do that. And he was also the Acharya of Lord Nityananda. So Madhavendra Puri is very powerful. So Advaita Acharya and Nityananda are god brothers, being the disciples of Madhavendra Puri. And this is one of the pastimes where, for Madhavendra Puri, Krishna stole the, here he's actually giving him the milk when he was doing his tapasya. But at one time he stole the pot of butter. Yeah. Oh yes, sweet rice. Shir Chor. Yeah. And kept that makhan pot specially for Madhavendra Puri, because Madhavendra Puri saw the offering and he just had a little desire. Wonder what it tastes like. I'd like to make something like that for my Gopinath. And Krishna stole that pot of butter for him, hid it on the altar. And then in the middle of the night, he came to a dream to the pujari and said, I've stolen a pot of butter for sweet rice for Madhavendra Puri. Please find him. He's in the marketplace, and give it to him. And the pujari was astonished. And this is the potency of Madhavendra Puri. Very powerful personality. Madhavendra Puri's disciple was also Ishwara Puri. And Ishwara Puri ultimately became the spiritual master of Mahaprabhu. In 1558, at the age of 125, so 25 years after the disappearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita Acharya returned to the spiritual world. So he lived quite a long time in Kali Yuga age-wise, over 100 years, 125 years. Advaita Acharya thought that a partial incarnation of the Lord would not be sufficient to completely bring about the welfare of the earth in this state, because the earth was in a terrible condition at that time. The world will only benefit if the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself descends to earth. This was the prayer, this was the mood of Advaita Acharya. This is the humility of God, which is extraordinary. Actually, Advaita Acharya could do anything. He's Mahavishnu and Sadashiv combined. But the Lord, Supreme Lord, is so humble. He will give more prominence to his other expansions and avatars. So Advaita began to worship Krishna's lotus feet with Ganga water and tulsi leaves, shouting and pleading to the Lord to become incarnate. With roars of love, he would worship Shaligram, this Nashinga Shaligram on the bank of the Ganga with tulsi leaves and Ganga water. And in this way, and this is the actual Shaligram. And we actually had this darshan, not this time, but I think a few years back, of this Nashinga Shaligram, very, very potent and powerful Shaligram that he was personally worshipping. There is, you can see him much more prominently here. And he's called Nashinga Shaligram because there's an opening, there's a mouth here, very powerful Nashinga. So this is really amazing. He would pray, he would bathe with Ganga water and put tulsi leaf on. Really loud cries. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of Krishna in the spiritual world, being Avatari, the source of all the incarnations, was actually drawn to those loud cries by Advaita Acharya.
Prabhuji,
So he was forced to come. Yes, anyway.
we didn't see the Shaligram when we were in.
Not this time.
Yeah, we were a little late.
Yeah, he wouldn't show us. But a few years ago, we actually took the pictures of these Shaligrams. The Pujari at that time was very merciful to us. He really brought them close outside, not completely outside, but near the entrance of the altar. This time he wouldn't. If you recall, he said, no, if I wake them up, they'll need a boga offering, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, we remember that. Yeah.
Prabhuji, can I ask you something?
Yes,
please.
Yes,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and all the devotees. You know, when you talked about this Shaligram, is it a particular stone, or do you get anywhere, or do you have to buy, or because the way you are talking
that's a
now.
big topic. Yeah, it's a big topic. Actually, you can't buy, you shouldn't buy. You can buy, but actually you shouldn't buy. It's something that has to be gifted to you. If you buy, it's not considered to be a good thing.
All right.
But a devotee can gift a Shaligram to you. I'm going to show you what we have. We're really fortunate because a few years ago, we were gifted this when we were in Vrindavan, and we are worshipping Shaligram. So let me just see if I can, let me see if you can see.
Yes, thank you very much. We can do the darshan. Yeah,
today's a good day to do darshan because we've slightly done a better job than we normally do. So one sec. Can you see the altar? Yeah. Okay, good. So this is, of course, Radha Madhav, and they got lovely garlands today. And this is Radharani, Radha Krishna.
Yes.
And now here, this is the Shaligram. This is the one.
This is the one, so beautiful.
Yeah, he's magnificent.
And you have given crown, everything.
Yeah. We treat him as our beloved Lord, you know. And next to him is Balaram. Balaram is Dwarkashila. He comes from Dwarka. And Shaligram comes from Nepal. The Gandaki River. That's where
you can find it.
Yes, that's where he has his base.
All right.
So,
Thank
and there's
you.
many different types of shaligram. The shaligram
All
we were
right.
seeing just now, which actually you can still see on the slideshow, is Nishinga. He's got an open mouth. You can see
Open.
the termites have eaten into the shaligram.
Yeah, I
But
can see.
this one is different. This is
This
not
one
like
is-
that.
All right. Thank
He's
you.
got different markings.
Thank you. That's
So
really beautiful.
Tulsi Devi,
Oh, yeah.
Haridas Thakur, and then we
Yeah.
have the Guru Parampara
Oh, yes. Oh, you got all the devotees there.
and Guru Maharaj.
Guru
Yes,
Maharaj. Thank
we got
you.
quite a few, not all of them.
All
But,
right. It's nice.
and on this side, we have this amazing Bal Gopal.
Bal Gopal. Yeah. Krishna Bhagwan.
So taken over the
That's
show
cute.
a little.
Thank
And
you.
then Radha Krishna,
Radha Krishna. Yes.
more Bal Gopal. Then we have Nasingdev.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Good.
Today.
Yes. Yes.
Jagannath Baladev. And then we have
Yeah.
Bol Jagannath Baladev. A beautifully done.
Beautiful.
Beautiful heart on
Really
that.
cute.
Really
Very
cute.
nice.
And today
Do
we have
you-
some special guests.
I see.
Gonitai.
All right.
And we have the bigger Gonitai as well.
Right. So cute they are.
Yeah, it's amazing altar today. So
Lovely. Thanks for doing us the darshan.
thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, where were we? Yes. Okay, so these are deities in Shantipur. Radha Matan Mohan Gopal Mohan. Radha Matan Gopal Mohan. Again, we missed the darshan, didn't we? Yeah. Anyway, he is the chief reason that Lord Sri Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya became incarnate on this earth. Actually, Chaitanya, it said that Advaita Acharya's calls forced Krishna to come as Chaitanya. They forced him to come because of his deep love for the Lord. I mean, he is the Lord himself. This is an inconceivable part of, let me just take that spotlight off, of the nature of Godhead. Yeah, myself. Then we'll have to join. Yes, good. Okay. After the appearance of Chaitanya, Sita Devi took Advaita Acharya's permission to come with gifts to Navadvip from Shantipur to see the most wonderful child. When she saw him, she blessed him by placing unhusked rice and durva grass on his head. So remember, he's 50 odd years older, and Sita Devi was quite old as well. So they're like their mother of Chaitanya. They were like the auntie or the nurse or the mother. They were considered senior. A wonderful pastime was prepared by Advaita in order to show the fallen jivas how auspicious it is to receive punishment from the Lord, from the Guru or a Vaishnava. So Advaita Acharya was always respected by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he was older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Advaita Acharya didn't like that, actually. He didn't want to be respected by the Lord. He wanted to not be regarded as senior, because actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, in the spiritual sense, senior to Advaita Acharya. But Advaita Acharya was being treated as more senior because he was older. So then Advaita Acharya formulated a way where the Lord would chastise him. How fortunate is a devotee who is chastised by his guru? Actually, if the guru doesn't chastise, it means the guru doesn't care. I remember my Guru Maharaj used to chastise us all the time. And one time he said, look, I'm sorry to chastise you, but because I love you, I chastise you so that you improve. If I didn't care, I would just let you continue with your bad habits. So he gave us a hard time. But it was good because actually we learned a lot. Mahaprabhu treated Advaita as his elder and spiritual master, even though Advaita considered himself to be Mahaprabhu's servant. Advaita was pained to see Mahaprabhu treat him with such respect. In order to seek out the merciful punishment of the Lord, he began to explain the path of impersonal liberation. So this is Sankaracharya's philosophy. When the Lord caught wind of this, he became extremely angry, and he went to Shantipur to give Advaita Acharya a good thrashing. When he was thrashed in this way, Advaita Acharya danced for joy, saying, "Look, my desires have been fulfilled today." When the Lord understood, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood that this was all a ruse on Advaita's part, he was embarrassed, but also pleased by Advaita Acharya. So this is a very humble and very sweet pastime. When Vishwarup, Mahaprabhu's older brother, came to the conclusion, after studying with Advaita Prabhu, that this world is a temporary place and the only real duty of mankind is to worship the Supreme Lord, he left home and took sannyas. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's older brother, Vishwarup. He would study with Advaita Acharya. And Sachi Mata was thinking, she became troubled by her eldest son taking sannyas. So she didn't really appreciate Advaita Acharya because she was thinking he took a role, he played a role in his eldest son taking sannyas. Now, when she saw that Nimai too was constantly associating with Advaita Acharya and leaving his wife, Lakshmi Priya, alone at home, she began to mentally criticize Advaita in this way. No one, of course, knew this because she was mentally doing this. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew because he's the Supreme Lord. On the day of Mahaprakash in the house of Srivas, when Mahaprabhu was fulfilling the desires of every one of his devotees by allowing them to see his divine form for 21 hours, Srivas asked the Lord whether Sachi Devi could also be blessed with this vision. So Advaita Acharya was shown the universal form of Vishnu. And he asked, can your mother have darshan as well? Mahaprabhu answered, my mother has committed an offense against Advaita Prabhu, so I will not show her this form. When the devotees told Sachi Mata what her son had said, she immediately went to Advaita and begged him for forgiveness. After Advaita had learned of Sachi Devi's confession, he began to glorify her as the one who carried the Supreme Lord of all creation in her womb. So in this way, she was actually forgiven and she got darshan of the Supreme Lord in his Krishna Leela form. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then, another Leela, he comes to Shantipur. After Mahaprabhu takes sannyas from Keshav Bharati, he started immediately running towards Vrindavan because he wanted to go to Krishna's land, Krishna's Leela, places where he performed such wonderful pastimes. But Vrindavan was very, very far from Shantipur, or he took sannyas in Katwa, very far. So Nityananda Prabhu actually tricked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into coming to the banks of the Ganga and bringing him to Shantipur. And how did he trick him? He said, this is the Yamuna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so much in ecstasy that he thought, yes, Nityananda is saying the right thing, but he didn't realize Nityananda actually tricked him. So he ended up in Shantipur. When Mahaprabhu saw the Ganga, he thought it was the Yamuna and became ecstatic. Meanwhile, Advaita had learned that Nityananda had brought Mahaprabhu to Shantipur and came to the Lord. Advaita was astonished. Mahaprabhu was astonished to see Advaita, wondering how he could have known that he was in Vrindavan. So Advaita was thinking, Mahaprabhu was thinking, how did Advaita come to Vrindavan? Of course, he didn't realize he was actually at the place of Shantipur, Advaita Acharya's place. Advaita answered by saying, Vrindavan was there, wherever Mahaprabhu went, and that the western flow of the Ganga was the Yamuna. So this is actually a fact. So it's interesting how Advaita Acharya justifies that this place is Vrindavan. When he heard these words, Mahaprabhu realized that he had been tricked to come to Shantipur. When Sachi and the people of Navadvip heard that Gaura Hari was at Advaita's, they all came there to visit him. So he had taken sannyas. Everybody was very sad because he had long flowing hair, which had been cut. And he had taken this very difficult path. He's the Supreme Lord. Why did he have to take this path? So they were all sad. So they came to see him in Shantipur. Seeing him in his dress as a sannyasi, they felt joy, but they were also feeling separation from him. Sita Thakurani prepared an immense meal as Mahaprabhu and Nityananda ate. Advaita Prabhu talked and joked with them. So this is a really amazing pastime, actually, where the relationship between these three comes to the fore. Sachimata and Sita Devi, they would serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. Advaita Prabhu would also serve Advaita Acharya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, I'm a sannyasi, I can't eat. This is just too much. Reduce it. And Nityananda would say, oh my goodness, am I going to fast today as well? I fasted yesterday because Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Today I'm fasting as well. Is that all you're giving me? And that was a big plate of food, as you can see here. And Advaita would say to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, don't be so humble. You can eat this. This is nothing for you. And to Nityananda, he would say, don't be so selfish. Just eat what you've got in front of you. In this way, they would joke and they would have a bit of a transcendental fight. Nityananda would sometimes pick up some of the prasad and throw it at Advaita. And Advaita would be, as you can see here, is jumping up and down in ecstasy because he was thrown food by, thrown prasad at him by Nityananda. So Advaita Acharya loved having these wonderful transcendental relationship between him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Nityananda. This was really relishable. Okay. So more pastimes. Advaita Acharya goes to Jagannath Puri annually. Of the 24 years of Mahaprabhu's life, 6 was spent. These 24 years are the last 24 years when he took sannyas. 6 was spent in traveling to and from Puri, while he spent the last 18 there without ever leaving. So 18 years he spent in Puri. So during the 6 years that he was traveling, the Bengali devotees would first find out where he was before going to Puri. During the 18 years, when he was always in Puri, every year they would go on an annual visit to Jagannath Puri. And the devotees, they came from Bengal every year, meeting with the Lord and staying for the 4 months of the rainy season. That's Chaturmasya. And Advaita Acharya would go every year to Jagannath Puri and stay for the full 4 months, participating with Mahaprabhu in Leelas such as cleansing of the Gundicha temple and Jagannath Rath Yatra. And in this picture, we can see Advaita Acharya is there, with the Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is the Abhishek. I presume they're probably doing Abhishek in Mayapur today. But this is a few years ago, Abhishek of the small deity of Advaita Acharya. Very beautiful. And this is the huge deity in Mayapur. It's over 7 foot. It's huge, absolutely beautiful deity of Advaita Acharya. One of the Panchatattva. And this is a close-up of what he looks like. And this is his lotus feet. There's some symbols on his lotus feet, not so many as Krishna or Chaitanya, but a few. And on the lotus hands, he has different symbols: the triangle, the flag, the lotus flower, and the deep. So that's essentially it. There are a few other pastimes. How are we doing for time? We can very quickly go through this. There were some childhood pastimes. They went to a temple of Kali one time with the prince, and Advaita Acharya was there, and the prince wanted him to pay obeisances to Kali Mata, but Advaita wouldn't do it. And the reason he wouldn't do it is because Kali is another form of Parvati. And Parvati is the wife of Shiva, and Advaita is also Shiva. So he wouldn't bow down because the husband doesn't bow down to the wife. And that was an interesting pastime, because the prince then was chastised and all sorts of things happened. So, in fact, there was a debate with the father. When offering obeisances to Kali, the deity burst. Advaita Acharya is also present, in all 4 rasas in Brajlila. He's Vishakha, Purnamasi, Madhumangal, and Ratimanjari. So Advaita Acharya has a pretty fundamental role also in Krishna Leela. He discovered Madan Gopal in Govardhan. There was loads of pastimes with Haridas Thakur, who is also one of his disciples. Haridas Thakur was born in a Mohammedan family, but he became a Vaishnava, and he's actually known to be as Namacharya. And in his previous birth, he was Lord Brahma, cursed to be born in a Muslim family. All right, that's it. Anything else? Anybody else would like to share?
I think what I heard today was that why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back to, he gave up this body. That's because Advaita Acharya was calling him, isn't it? At the age of, when he was 100, he sort of composed a poem. And I don't have the words of the poem, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the poem, and he said, okay, time to go back. So that's why he left this material body.
But actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't have material body, huh?
No, that's why he left for this heavenly abode. That's what I meant.
Yeah. But the thing is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left when he was 48.
Yes.
So he lived 48 years. But
at that time, how old was Advaita Acharya?
He would have been 100 odd.
Yes, that's what he said.
Continued to stay for another 25 years on earth after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left.
Yeah. So
You know, in the class this morning, Prabhu was saying that in 1534, when Advaita Acharya was 100 years old, then he sent a message to Lord Chaitanya.
That's what Naniman said.
Oh, he's already said that.
No, she's trying to say. Go on.
Then he sent a message to Lord Chaitanya, and he said that the madman says that everyone is now mad. So he was saying, so it means to say that everyone's got love, Krishna Prema. So the need that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for has been satisfied. So that was like the beginning of when Mahaprabhu
decided to leave.
Yeah. So Advaita Acharya is responsible for not only the arrival of Mahaprabhu, but also extending the disappearance of Mahaprabhu.
Thank you so much. So you must have been listening to the same lecture, Naniben.
Exactly. So I heard the lecture today.
Was it this morning?
This morning lecture, yes. I still have to hear the full one. It was another, same one, that everyone is, but then I think a few more lines to that, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood.
Yes, very good. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. Anything else?
He just gave a nice prayer at the end. He said that we can pray to Advaita Acharya, who represents the best devotee. We can pray for him to protect us from making Vaishnava aparadh. And at the end he said, we can pray to Advaita Acharya to please keep us protected from Vaishnava aparadh and keep me under the shelter of the Vaishnavas, realizing the potency that they possess.
That's good. Good prayer. Especially on his birthday, to take shelter of Advaita Acharya. Thank you for sharing. Wonderful. Wonderful. Anything else? Anybody else would like to share? Thank you so much. Advaita Acharya ki
Jai.
jai.